Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
beautiful people out there in the ether. I got an opportunity to say good morning to some of you. Melanie, the first in chat, saying good morning to the chat, as well as our baby, beautiful baby, crime-fighting Delilah. Hey, Prayer Warriors Opinion, it's nice to see you up in the chat. Tammy Crimes is here. Phil, our beautiful Sonia, is up in the house. It's nice to see you. Good morning. Who else do we have up in here? We got a few people. Let me get past. I saw we were conversating a little bit in the morning, which is always so nice to get caught up with everybody. Suddenly, Sally, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Eeyore Blue is up in the house today. It's nice to see you. Southern Grammy. Kathleen, good morning. It's nice to see you. Welcome. We have Lisa B. Always, our beautiful Lisa B. Always, joining us this morning. Wendy M., it's nice to see you up in the chat. Deanna, Donna, Peggy, good morning. It's nice to see you, loves. Who else do we have? We have Melissa. Hey, not all a member anymore. I was. That's okay. It's okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's nice to see you. We got a few things to go over this morning before we jump into our topic of conversation. Melissa, it's nice to see you. Alcoholic. Good morning. Good morning. Who else do we have up in the chat? We've got a few people. We've got to get down to the late bloomers, late arrivers. Like common sense. Like common sense. We need a lot more common sense up in the chat. All right, guys, it's nice to see you. We have quite the story to go over. One of our audience member, was sending me stuff about this case, and so I was looking up under the hood. I had heard about it, so it's not like I'm flying blind here. I have heard about this particular case with Marcia Norman and Jeffrey Zizz. She was a beloved grandmother in a quiet community in Washington State. She was known for her warmth, her routines, and her trust in those around her. But in April 2025 of this year, that all changed. Marcia vanished, only to be found buried beneath a concrete slab that was built, a shed that was built by her handyman. So this is Buried Secrets, the Marsha Norman story. We're going to be going over that, but we got a little tea. We got a little juicy tea. You guys know my life, right? You guys know what's shaking over in Casa Bullhorn Betty. And you know what I went through, especially the end of 2023, a very, very dark time for Bullhorn Betty and the show. But it did drive us over to the Sebastian Rogers case, which I do believe even though we're going through quite a bit of punishment, malicious, egregious actions by law enforcement, the courts, as well as the Proudfoots, we still are doing what we need to do in that case and keep advancing that case forward, despite the help of the local government related to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And we're not going to let up if they're going to try to publicly humiliate me. I can tell you there's a lot of more public humiliation that we can put back in their court. And that's exactly what we plan on doing here on the Bullhorn Betty channel when it comes to the Sebastian Rogers case. I don't trust law enforcement out there. There is a protest right now going on today out in Sumner County for corruption. This is the second major event for corruption. We know the singer at the vigil, the last vigil at the church, Dad Vernon, I forgot her name, but I just received something from somebody to reach out to her, Gentry. I can't remember her first name, and I do apologize. She's a very sweet, very kind lady. And her husband was suing one of the judges in the area for corruption. I heard long before this whole ordeal that this place was corrupt, but again, it's what we hear every single time we go into a community. And so I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention. I do believe that there is more that kind of solidify that disgusting and ugly stamp on that community, right? I've seen it firsthand. I've seen what they're willing to do to shut somebody up and violate people's constitutional rights. And I have to think that I'm not the only one they've done this to. And so there is a gentleman that was shot and he was a black guy. He was shot, and he was shot by his girlfriend. Well, now they've got him or something like that in jail, or had him in jail, obviously punished him for being shot, according to what I'm reading. And that's what this event is about, is the corruption for this gentleman. Now, I truly believe that this is, and I hate saying it, but we've got enough to support that this would be a racist county. I think I brought it up in my commentary, basically saying if Sebastian was a black kid instead of a white kid, the situation would be a lot different. And I said that a long time ago. So it's not any news that I feel that way to this day. And I absolutely 100% support anybody feeling jaded and activating and utilizing their constitutional rights of protest. And that's effective. No matter what people say about it, that strategy is ultra effective. And so kudos to them. I heard they have a heavy hitter, a lady with an Instagram following of over 1 million. I just learned who she is. I had no idea who she was. I reached out to her yesterday. She hasn't responded back to me, but I am reaching out to her to let her know my story, to see if we can maybe collaborate on future initiatives in that community, as I'm always looking for ways to have my voice heard, which my voice is not just my voice. It's hundreds of people that come here and visit this show every single week, month, year. We have about 500,000 to 1 million people on any given. Well, I guess we have about 500,000, 250,000 to 500,000 views each month. So that should tell you where we are. So we have about 6 million views every single year on this channel, and we will flex our voices and flex our muscles with whatever resources we have available at our disposal. Now, that's not really what I wanted to talk about, and that's not the tea that I want to divvy up, right? This is going to be a little more personal for Bullhorn Betty. But as you see, I am quite tickled pink with all of this. So here's the tea. Here's the tea. Now, I don't know I don't trust this guy. I don't trust the people he's talking about. All of them are a bunch of dirtbags that lie through their teeth about every blessed thing. I've learned the hard way. Don't forget, I dated for 2 years the asshole this man's talking about. If you guys don't know who this guy is, who this a-hole is, this is Trev. This is Trev Time on YouTube. Con artist, scammer, felon, drug addict. Let's hear what he has to say.
So I'll just leave that shit at that. But yeah, weird situation. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll just say what it is. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say it because JLR needs to know this.
Woo!
What JLR? So JLR and Magnolia they were hitting me up. I love JLR, man. He doesn't deserve to be treated like shit by these little punk ass bitches out here that want to use him for money. Like, for instance, Magnolia hitting me up trying to get with me.
Use him for money. I never used the man for money. Now, his ugly hippopotamus that he's got on his arm now, I don't know about her situation, but for me personally, I never asked him for something. He never gave me nothing. I took care of myself while I was with him. I bought him plenty of food, plenty of trips, plenty of plane tickets, plenty of car rentals. It was me, boo-boo. It was me he was sucking off of.
And all different types of shit behind his back. Real shit. And then she's telling me that JLR was strangling her and all this other weird shit. Like, and JLR deserves to know that, man.
He deserves to know that. I've been on my platform since October of 2023 expressing how abusive this man was to me. Does this shock me? No, it doesn't. Has he put his hands on Magnolia? I don't know, but I have to think he probably did. Because I know he beat the crap out of his other girlfriend before me. He only had one time to grab my arm. I looked at him. I said, you take your mother, hands off of me. And he knew I was serious because I was about to bulldoze his ass to the ground if he had not removed his arm. That's how I roll. You don't put your hands on me at all. So.
Ain't no allegedly to it. Try to sue me. I don't give a fuck. Try to sue me. I got the text messages. It's just
Listen,
weird.
show
My dog
'em.
JLR needs to know the truth. He
Show
needs to
'em.
know
Show
that
the
that shit was
receipt.
said to me, and I I hope that you could get through that. But that's why you don't see me much on JLR's channel no more, because Magnolia made that shit weird, dog. She was trying to get with me. She was trying to she was literally trying to get with me, and I'll just leave.
So trying to get with them. So it's not all pink bows and sunny days over there. This is why you don't fish in other people's ponds. This is why you don't date hoes that like to home wreck. This is why this right here, this situation is karma. This is karma. And I'm pretty sure that if I know anything, because again, the mask, the blinders were taken off of my eyes. And I absolutely know that he was never faithful through our entire relationship. I doubt he's faithful at all through their relationship. He has a facade about him that makes people believe him, but he's ultra abusive. So now we have Casey that got the crap beat out of her. And I think it was either New York or Washington, D.C., where the Proud Boys had to pull Jonathan off of him. The mental and psychological and emotional abuse that he provided to me. And now we're hearing he's putting his hands around Magnolia's neck. So again, I only know what he did to me. I can only speak on that factually. I heard what he did to KC. I've been on the phone call with her many years ago when I first started dating him, and I didn't believe that what she was saying to me was true. And I apparently had to figure it out myself. So if you guys need to know, is Jonathan a good dude or not? I say hell to the nah. Hell to the nah. I see a separation in the future. He's probably going to hold on as long as he can so he doesn't have to put his tail between his legs. But I just thought it was interesting. Does it really go to anything we're talking about? No, it was a feel-good item for me. Yeah, I won't lie. I did thoroughly enjoy running that story this morning. Just saying. Me, on the other hand, I choose to get over it before I go and cause problems for somebody else, right? I want to be fully healed before I take that next step out. I've had opportunities to date people, see people, go here, go there, and I've turned every last one of them down because I personally am not ready after the abuse that I personally received at the hands of JLR. So another story that we've covered before we jump on into this, the Buried Secrets, the Marsha Norman story, we have an update on another very disgusting and deplorable story that happened on the date that Sebastian disappeared. And this case was Madeline Soto, and Stephen Stearns was in court yesterday at the Orange or Osceola County Courthouse. I can't remember. I've got the notice of hearing. I was actually going to go and opted not to. I had some things I needed to get done. I'm hoping to finalize those things that have been dragging on for the last freaking 45 days. I'm hoping to have that wrapped up today. But at the end of the day, we knew that this case was going to be really, really hard. So I was going to go out there personally. I opted not to, and I figured once we had the results from the hearing, we would play it live. So I wanted you guys to hear this live. It's about a 12-minute video of the proceedings with Stephen Stearns. This is a case that we covered. I had to stop covering it because of the explicit situation that happened to the victim. And it's just not, it makes it very difficult to talk about those types of cases on these platforms because of the rules of YouTube, which I think is a disservice to the news on this platform. But I digress. We have to play in the sandbox with their rules. And so occasionally we have to, there's a point when we have to stop covering a case because it becomes too costly for the channel to continue to cover the case when we're not getting any advertisement revenue from the story. It sounds horrible that that's what it is, but again, it's, you guys don't get up every day, get dressed and head off to work all day and not be paid for it. This is a hard case. It's very emotional for me to cover the case to begin with. And then the insult to injury of not being able to run advertisements on the show, which is a major contributor to our funding for the show. So without further ado, thank you guys. Thank you. I just noticed that. So Melanie, 7-month member. Betty, you're the best. Give Delilah hugs from me. I will pull her up here. She's laying in her bed right now, sleeping and being a good girl. So we like that. Serenity says, BHB, did you know that Nancy Grace did a show on Layla Santinello yesterday? I did hear about it. And it's from her stepmother that barely ever saw her and tries to act like she's the one taking care of her and everything like that. While I loved Nancy Grace, I thought that was highly disrespectful to the actual mother of Layla Santinello. But at the end of the day, as long as they're getting her name out there, I guess that is the name of the game. But for me personally, I think George and Brittany are pieces of garbage. They didn't really care for they sent her money for drugs. They sent her money for this, but they never even bothered seeing her for years. The first time they decided to visit Tennessee was after she disappeared. And I'm sorry, parents make terrible decisions sometimes, especially in situations where a child that they're just a long story, but I'm really tired of Brittany and George, because they've done nothing for Layla when she was alive. And now they're trying to act like they're these great parents when they're pieces of garbage. They're pieces of garbage. George wouldn't even go see his freaking granddaughter, Nova Grace, because his mother wouldn't let his girlfriend, Brittany, into the house. So he just decided not to see his grandchild. Again, piece of what. So Nancy Grace, I'll tell you this. I have and sent over the engagement information for Jennifer to get on her show. And when Jennifer gets on the show, then I'll listen to the Nancy Grace show related to Layla Santinello, but not until then, because I don't have the patience for George or Brittany. Don't like them. Oh, and by the way, when they did come in town, don't forget that she decided to try to walk out of Brittany decided to try to walk out of the Dollar General or Walmart or some whatever place without paying for her stuff in Tennessee. What a disrespectful little what. No, I got no time for them. I think they're pieces of garbage. I think they tried to profit off their missing child. And shame on Nancy. Nancy should have done better. Better intel, But Nancy and I love Nancy. You guys know I love Nancy. I support Nancy. But there is a lot of stuff that me and Nancy don't agree with. So, and this is one of them. So I will not be watching that story. I will not be giving it a click or review. That's my choice. You guys make your own choice. I know a lot of people care about Layla Santinello, and I do too, but I also care about her mother and her daughter, which are still here with us right now, and how disappointed her mother must have been seeing that nonsense come out. So that's kind of all I really have to say about that. So what we're going to do, let me go ahead and play this clip, and then we'll dive right on in to the Marsha Norman story again. This is going to be kind of a weird show. We don't really have one specific case that we're covering. We've already talked about Sebastian's case. We've already talked about Layla Santinello's case, and we're about to dive in just a little bit to the Madeline Soto case to get ourselves up to date on that as well. So here, without further ado, here you go.
We're on the record, State of Florida versus Stephen Michael Stearns, 2024, CF 632. Appearances for the record, please.
Danielle Pennell and William J. for the state. Alicia Smith and Alex Johnson on behalf of Mrs. Stephen Stearns.
Thank you. All right, the court has...
now, I got to tell you, I did watch this. I watched it, I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 minutes of it. I didn't watch it totally through. I will be honest with you. But it's crazy because in this, you're going to hear her wanting to extend something. She doesn't want to tell them what she needs to do or what the reason is. She just wants them to trust her. It was like the weirdest blessed hearing I have ever seen. And I don't understand what the purpose of this was. And it's like it's another hearing just to I don't know. She had to have known that this was not going to move forward, but she had to do it to protect her client, I guess. I would
This
presume.
hearing on the defense's motion to continue the suppression hearing, which is currently set for tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Defense, do you wish to present argument with respect to your motion?
Yes, Judge, and defense has a case. I provided a copy to the state already. You want me to give you a moment to read, Judge, or you want me?
Just a moment.
Little too close for me. A little too close for me. I should speed this up. This on up.
Please highlight the
Oh, no,
McKay
yes.
factors.
Essentially, Judge, they all essentially stand for the
I'm
same thing.
familiar with the McKay factors. Thank you.
And the cases that I provided to the court are Botham v. State, 272 Southern 3rd 876, a 50 CA case from 2019, Turner v. State, 311 Southern 3rd 185, a second DCA case from 2020, McKay versus State, first DCA, 504 Southern 2nd 1280 from 1986, and unpublished opinion that only has a Westlaw site so far, Surratt versus State, 2025, Westlaw 1119091 from last week from April of 2025. Trocola versus State, 867 Southern 2nd 129, 50 CA from 2004. And Singer versus State, 286 Southern 3rd 343, a 50 CA from 2019. Essentially, Judge, defense is moving to continue the motion to suppress the step for the afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. And looking at the Bofo case, it essentially says that in moving for a continuance, defense just has to show that we haven't had a reasonable time to investigate or litigate the case. And that is balanced against the judicial economy and judicial efficiency and the court managing their documents, turning to the McKay factors, as well as the factors that are listed in, I believe, Turner, that looks to a defense suffering an injustice by failing to grant and continue
I'm going to pass
preparing for the motion, as well as in preparing the other case for trial. Defense is coming to information that at this time the defense is in a position to be able to divulge to the court or in open court.
So you're good.
So he's going to respond to this, but she's basically saying, I need this extension, but we can't tell you why. And that you're going to have to, unfortunately, when you're asking for stuff, you have to show your hand a little bit, and she doesn't want to show her hand at all.
In a position to be able to divulge to the court or in open court.
So your good cause is secret?
Essentially, Judge, well, I can't in good faith at this time, being that it's still being explored. I don't know which way it's going to go, if it's going to be something that's going to pan out in favor of defense or be able to be something to be utilized in this case. As the court is aware, a death notice has been filed in the second case. And while I'm not arguing specifically as to that case, in that death notice, this case is used as one of the aggravating factors. So a conviction on this case would be one of the aggravating factors the state would potentially be seeking in the death notice in terms of the homicide case. Defense would argue that this information has come to light recently, and we're still in the process of working through it and figuring out if it's something that would or wouldn't be available in this case if the defense were to go forward with the motion to suppress at this point.
Okay. So now you heard her argument.
State response?
Yes, Your Honor. The state has not been in receipt of any witness list or any defense discovery in this case. The defendant in this case was arrested on February 29th of 2024. The public defender's office was appointed the next day at initial appearances.
I want to let you guys know that is correct. He was arrested on February 29th. Again, a much big difference from Tennessee law and Florida law. We go in there, we initiate forensics immediately. We turn the last known place of the child into a crime scene. We follow the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children directives. And we also don't do things perfectly, okay, here in Florida. So doing things perfectly and doing things that are right are two totally different things. they did the right procedures here in Florida while Tennessee did not. And moreover, Tennessee is hiding, right? The law enforcement is hiding from the public. The judicial process is hiding from the public. The mom and stepdad in Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers' case is hiding from the public. You see a theme? When you have wrongdoers, what do? It's a fight or flight mechanism. And even the people that are supposed to be here fighting, flight.
The discovery process started after the information was filed on March 11th of 2024. The state responded to the defense's demand for discovery on March 20th, 2024, and discovery has been ongoing. The motions to suppress that are currently set for hearing tomorrow were filed by the defense on February 6th of 2025. There was a motion to close the courtroom on February 28th of 2025. A notice of hearing for the closure of the courtroom was filed February 24th of 2025. Upon the denial of the defense's motion to close the courtroom on March 27th of 2025, the defense filed a notice of hearing for these motions to suppress. So these have been pending hearing since March 27th of 2025. The defense filed the motions to continue. The defense waited approximately almost 2 months, a little 2.5 months to request hearing time. The hearing has been set. The state filed responses to the defendant's motions to suppress on April 8th of 2025.
Thank you, Rose.
And then I was contacted by defense. We had a discussion about their request to continue these hearings on April 10th, and a written motion to continue was filed on April 14th of 2025. The written motion filed by defense, the state's position is vague. It is unclear whether this information is necessary for a defense, is necessary for the hearing.
So basically they're saying that they don't have any type, their stuff is secret. They have to have some substance, a foundation to provide a continuance, and it has to be with good cause shown. And secrecy is not good cause shown. So let's listen to what she has to say in rebuttal.
In terms of the presentation of the evidence or presentation of the case, because it's defense's position that at this time the information is confidential, which is why a witness list hasn't been disclosed. Discovery exhibits haven't been disclosed in regards to it because it's still being looked to and explored.
So it sounds to me like they don't have a strategy to move forward, and so they're trying to find it, but they don't want to have this strategy public, especially if it's not going to pan out, because in a sense, the state could force them to have that alibi or, use that because so I kind of understand her point, but I also know that you can't go in there and say my reason's secret. I mean, the whole purpose of the meeting, the hearing, is to find a common ground to work on, because opposing counsel the state and the defense are not agreeing. So now they have to have the judge decide what's right and what's wrong, and that's where we're at.
Evaluating the McKay factors in this case, the court's going to find that there's been significant time to prepare for these hearings. This case initiated in February of 2024. Motion was filed almost a year later. The matter was set for a hearing in March. 13 months. I'll note that this is on 24 CF 632. While the two cases are related, this does not deal with the homicide case. The court has an inability to make a determination as to the likelihood of prejudice from the denial. The defense apparently is in possession of some information, the nature of that information, the timing of when it was received, whether the defendant played any role in shortening the preparation time. The availability of that discovery is unknown to the court because the defense is unwilling at this point to share any information with the court, even on an ex parte basis, as to this information. Counsel that has been appointed to this case has the requisite skill and experience to try this type of case. Both are either board certified criminal trial experts or in the process of becoming, are being certified as a criminal trial expert. The court cannot, from the information presented, make a finding of good cause. And while the defense argues,
See, and that's the crux of it. You heard him say finding of good cause. You can't ask for an extension or, to move a date, so to speak, without good cause. And secrecy is not good cause. You've got to be able to open up the box a little bit. So he's focusing on good cause. And I have to agree, there is no good cause here unless she was willing to provide some information. And he even provided her an opportunity to give that to him on an ex parte. That means the state is not even involved. It's just between her and the judge, and still refused to give it. And so there is no good cause shown. You have to do something. You either poop or get off the pot. But she wants her cake and eat it too. So I get why the judge is ruling the way he is going to rule.
it will be prejudicial. There's been nothing advanced to the court to support that argument. So the defense's motion to continue the motion to suppress tomorrow, scheduled for 2 p.m., is denied. And I'll ask the state to please have their witnesses present and ready to go.
So the extension, again, denied by the judge because of lack of good cause. You can't, and I explained why. You can't go into a court and say, I need this, but I'm not going to tell you why. It does not work that way. He talked about her credentialing. She's credentialed properly to handle this type of case. So that's kind of our intro, quite a long intro this morning, but a lot of little topics to discuss before we dive into a new case. And again, this came to me from an audience member that watches this show that started sending me some articles. Hey, it's me, Jen, the real me too. All of our mods, we're hearing it is another birthday. Another birthday. So happy birthday to Pebbles. And we just had Sonia's birthday as well. So happy birthday to you both. Let me see if I can clear out the things, because I didn't really give Sonia a real happy birthday. You know, I was saying it, but it was kind of right? Hold on. Let me get my gear on. Hold on. This is for both Sonia as well as Pebbles. Hold on a second, folks. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to kick you out of your bed. I just have to move you for a second. We have a birthday. We have 2 birthdays, Delilah. 2 whole birthdays. Can you believe that? It's our favorite mods, too. All of our mods are our favorite, aren't they? Tell them, Delilah. All of our mods are favorite. All right, we're getting into the gear. I can't see out of these glasses because they're so foggy. There we go. I heard, let me get my little plugs in so I can hear you guys screaming at me. I really do need to clean these glasses. I can't see crap out of them. They're so foggy. They are so foggy. Hold on, let me clean the glasses. Let me just clean the glasses a little bit. I got to be able to see the screen. Okay. I do this every now and again, but like I said, Sonia deserved a big happy birthday too. But I was in the living room. I didn't have the swag on. Don't think I don't have the swag. So this is 2 Pebbles as well. I gotta. I don't like that do-do-do. I haven't sang in a while. All right, here we go. Everybody join with me for Sonia as well as Pebbles. Clear out your throat. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sonia and Pebbles. Happy birthday to you. could do it a little more. We could do it a little different too. We can do the cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you, cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you, cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday, dear Sonia and Pebbles, cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you. Okay. My singing days are behind me. I get it. But what do you do? What do you do? So we got little birthday candles up here. Blow out your birthday candles. Blow out your birthday candles. Okay. So we got our friends. We got our friends. Happy birthday. And anybody else that has a birthday this month, happy birthday to you. Congratulations. We love you all. Welcome to this family. I know we have a few people up here in chat. I just want to go over those just a little bit. We got Tammy Crimes. Thank you so much. Saw how Backstreet YouTube attacks. Yeah, we've been dealing with it for years. It is what it is. Prayers to whoever needs that. It's now Mr. E's family and Justin. So yeah, let's make sure that we keep the E's in our prayers, our thoughts in our prayers. You know, when it comes to children, especially our personal children, things aren't very easy, especially when we're faced with unthinkable stuff. Okay. Their family has been riddled with cancer. A lot of their, the good news is most of their family have been in remission, from cancer. So that's always a plus and a positive sign. But when it comes to your own child, it's very hard, as you can imagine, to deal with, to watch your loving child go through chemo and get sick and stuff like that. So we just want to keep them. It looks like maybe we're kind of at the light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully. That's why we pray. And we just want to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Turkey Man's still struggling from the loss of his brother. I know Sonia's got to be struggling from the loss of her sister and her cat. Very recent, very hard. We have a lot of people in here that are facing medical procedures, surgeries, have other things, more emotional things going on in their life. So just remember to think of them and pray for them. If you pray for others, please put them in your prayers. Rose Road, thank you so much for becoming the newest member of this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Okay, guys, I know this is going to be a longer than normal show because it's almost an hour in and we're just getting started with the topic of conversation. And this is the buried secret of the Marsha Norman story. And so we're going to go through, an introduction of the story so you guys can all have an updated or at least some basic knowledge of what's going on in this. We're going to talk about who Marsha Norman is, the disappearance and the investigation, who Jeffrey Zizz is, the discovery, the public and family reaction, where the case stands now, and of course, what can we do to help? With this case, since I'm going to kind of jump forward with this case with Jeffrey already in jail and her being found, there's not really a whole lot we can do other than support and commentate on the case. So as I had explained before, she was a beloved grandmother in a small town of, now I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but I might pronounce it right. It's a roll of the die 50-50. Tenino, Washington. Might be Tenino, Washington, but it might be Tenino, Washington. So I don't know because the I and the E are they're only separated by a letter. So it might be a long E. So I'm not sure the name of this particular area. But she was dependable, independent, and deeply loved. But in April of 2025, just this year, the beginning of this month, as a matter of fact, her family reported her missing on the 4th of April. And Marcia Norman suddenly vanished. What followed was a chilling discovery buried beneath concrete and the unraveling of dark and calculated betrayal. So again, we're covering this because it was sent to me by one of our audience members and deeply personal to, it sounds like, to this audience member. Today we're taking a deep dive into the disturbing case, and a man is now accused of her murder, and we all know that his name is Jeffrey Zizz. Okay, he was her handyman or some type of handyman. So, who is Marcia Norman? Marcia Norman was an 82-year-old woman. So, she was an elderly lady. She lived alone but kept a tight routine, always on time for appointments, always keeping up with family. She was active, healthy, and mentally sharp. Her independence, even at her age, was something she took pride in. That's why when she didn't show up for scheduled appointments on April 4th, her family knew something was wrong. They called the police. What they couldn't have known then is that the last person to see Marcia alive would soon be the center of the murder investigation. And it was her handyman, Jeffrey Zizz. Marcia had dinner with Zizz on April 1st, 2025. According to the reports, it was the last time anyone saw her alive. Over the next day, family members grew alarmed. Her medication were untouched. She missed her hair appointment. And most importantly, she hadn't answered calls. A missing person report was filed. Thurston County deputies began looking for her last known whereabouts, and one name kept coming up: Jeffrey Zizz. Authorities began reacting to Marcia's final hours. They took her GPS ping, surveillance videos, phone records. Something was not adding up. Zizz told officers he hadn't seen Marcia in days, but footage from nearby cameras and phone tracking data placed him near her home and later on his own property in Olympia. And then came the smell. Detectives, along with cadaver dogs, zeroed in on a newly built shed in Zizz's yard in Olympia. The scent of human decomposition was detected. Now, I can tell you, I also read that they originally hit on his truck bed. The search warrant was obtained, and under the concrete floor of the shed, police found what they feared: human remains. The remains were later confirmed of Marcia Norman. Who is Jeffrey Zizz? Jeffrey Zizz is 47-year-old. He has worked as a handyman for several clients around Thurston County. But beneath the surface, he had a dark past, a prior conviction of child, SA. At the time of Marcia's disappearance, he was on conditional release from that crime. He had no legal right to leave Washington, but after Marcia went missing, Zizz fled. He was located in Montana and arrested on April 7th, 3 days after she was reported missing. Again, there is something to be said about guilty people because they run away. What happened immediately after Sebastian disappeared? Within a week or two, well, within a few days, Chris had already left for over 24 hours, 17 to 24 hours, right? Also, within 2 weeks, they both left. They both ran away from Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Every time we have a guilty party, they have a fight or flight mechanism in there, and they're too much of cowards, so they flight. They leave. This is indicative of a lot of guilty people, and we have to remember the behavior because we have two POS's parents, a mom and a stepfather, and a missing 16-year-old medically needy child that they could care less about and are more concerned about their own reputation than finding the whereabouts of their child. I find it disgusting. I find it appalling, and we are going to expose that. So he fled to Montana. Chris and Katie fled to Mississippi. Disturbingly, this wasn't the first time Marcia had felt unsafe around Zizz. Her family later revealed she once woke up to find him standing at the foot of her bed, uninvited. She told him to stay professionally. He brushed it off. It was a red flag, one of many. That, in hindsight, pointed to a man with obsessive, predatory behaviors. The investigation got darker. From there, inside Zizz's home, authorities found a 5-page handwritten letter. In it, Zizz laid out his twisted plan to break into a home of a woman client, bind her with Velcro straps, and SA her. While the letter did not mention Marcia directly, investigators believed it described her. The scene found in the shed, the straps, the tools, the body, matched the description of Zizz's writing. Sheriff Derek Sanders later reported, "This is one of the worst crimes I've ever seen." The community of Tunheim, whatever the name of it, was shaken. Neighbors who had known Marcia for years were horrified. Vigils were held. Social media flooded with condolences. Her family, while heartbroken, thanked law enforcement for bringing answers. The one thing we do not have in the Sebastian Rogers case. Also, these people gave press conferences. Isn't that funny? They actually realized this is a public interest case, and they understood their taxpayers and their voter base needs answers. Much different from the corrupt town of Sumner County. Her family, while heartbroken, thanked law enforcement for bringing answers. The sheriff's press conference was raw and emotional, a call for vigilance and justice. Zizz is now being held without bail. He faces charges including first-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and unlawful disposal of human remains. The investigation remains ongoing. Authorities are combing through his other client lists, looking for additional victims. This community waits, watches as the court proceedings begin. This case is more than a horrific crime. It's a wake-up call about elderly safety, about trust, about noticing red flags. Marsha Norman deserved safety in her home and peace in her final years. Instead, her life was cut short by someone she trusted. If you or someone you know feels unsafe, please reach out. Resources and help are out there. So that's kind of a breakdown of the story in a nutshell. And so I kind of used that as, I dug into this case and I kind of did an outline of this case of what was the important information. I think I hit everything, the nail on its head. So now I kind of just want to go through with you guys the story, the case, the situation behind this. Give me just a second while I clear up all of my my pages here. It does have a habit of lagging down whenever we run because I've got a lot of tabs open. So just bear with me. So this is the guy right here. This is Jeffrey Zizz. Something has happened to him. I don't know what happened to him, but something happened to him. And why do I say that something happened to him? Is because this was what he used to be right here. Looks normal. Walking on, looks like he's got a nice little girl there. This was from, I think, 2012. Is this from 2012? 2019. 2019. And this is the man today. Something seriously happened in this man's life, whether it's alcohol, substance abuse. I would, beg to say it was probably more in line with substance abuse, but it could be alcohol abuse. Alcohol makes people do terrible things as well. But when you see this drastic change in 5 years from what I just showed you, from this here to what you're seeing on your screen here, it's usually drug related, okay? Just in my experience, but it doesn't mean that that's the case. That's always the case. So we have this guy here. He's the handyman. He's the one that unalived this grandmother. He's the one that removed her body from her house through his by way of his pickup truck, because the dogs sit on the truck first. Then he took this lady to his house. He dug a grave. He put her in that grave, and then he started building a concrete platform for a shed to go on to try to cover up and hide the crime. I know. What is that? Oh my God, his head looks like it hurts. Good morning, Denise. It's nice to see you. Glad you were able to get away and have more peaceful area. Is that from DC? It's nice to see all the people coming in. I was born and raised in Tacoma, Washington. There are tweakers, thieves, predators everywhere. Finally moved 4 hours away. Well, God bless you. God bless you. People don't realize, the area that they live could definitely cause problems. So, Tunheim, I guess is how you pronounce it. Tunheim. I don't know. Anyways, it's in Thurston County. I can say Thurston County without a problem. Washington. The population with the 2020 census was 1,870 people. It was incorporated in 1906. That was the year my grandfather was born. The city sits upon land first established as a food source prairie for Native Americans living in the area. The town grew around an economy of stone quarries, with local sandstone being used in several government and university buildings in Pacific Northwest. With a decrease in demand of stone, the town converted one abandoned quarry into a community pool. Its downtown district is listed on the National Registration of Historical Places. Tunheim gained notoriety during the Great Depression for the use of wooden money as public currency for its residents. A practice briefly revived during the COVID-19 pandemic. The city was named for steamboats used during the Railroad Committee expedition. So the original name was used by the North Pacific Railroad for their station when it was completed in October 8th, 1882. Has been debated over a century. The two main theories given for a century where Tunheim was Chinook, jargon word for the fork or branch in the trail, or form T90. This is getting a little too problematic here. According to the historian Richard Edwards, name Tunheim was used by steamboats and Oregon Steam Navigation Company on Columbia and Snake Rivers. The company has transported a North Pacific committee in early October of 1872. So a lot of history, but a very small population. This is the 2020 population. I can't imagine it increasing that much in 2024. So we're dealing with a very small community. My community is about 250,000 strong here in Manatee County or more. We might be up to 300,000 residents. So having a place of 1,800 residents is smaller than Moscow, Idaho. Okay, Moscow, Idaho has about 6,000 people in it. So you're looking at this area not quite like where Dylan Rounds disappeared, but it's pretty stinking close. It's pretty stinking close. We don't have a whole lot of people in this particular area. So I wanted to give you guys a little more information. This was the takeaway from Yahoo News, which picked up the Fox 13 Seattle news clip. So I wanted to play this for you guys here this morning.
But we begin tonight with what prosecutors are calling a meticulously planned murder of an 82-year-old Tenino woman. Today, the man accused of killing Marsha Norman appeared.
It's awfully low. Hold on.
Thurston County courtroom. Then, a short time later, the sheriff, the prosecuting attorney, and the county coroner gathered to outline the investigation that led to today's court appearance. And one of them calling it the worst case he's seen in 20 years on the job. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for Fox 13 News at 10. I'm Matthew Smith.
And I'm Sabir Rayford. The disappearance and eventual realization of Norman's murder has rocked a community. Today, her granddaughter spoke out in court.
She made a real ripple in the lives of real people. And we, her family, are more than just the names on the papers in front of you. And Marsha was so much more than just an 82-year-old Tenino woman. She was a very young person who was both deeply loved by her family and her community.
Those words delivered as Jeffrey Zizz, the accused, looked on. A judge determining that Zizz would be held without bail.
While the family is hurting, investigators say their job is now to bring them justice. In a raw and comprehensive press conference, Thurston County investigators unveiled a wide range of new details today on what led them to Zizz. Fox 13's Jennifer Dowling has the latest details from Olympia.
Law enforcement said that Marsha likely suffered for hours before her death. Even the coroner, who's been with the office for more than 20 years, said this was one of the worst cases that he's ever seen.
So what do they mean by that? What they mean by that is that whatever he did to her, she did not succumb to her injuries, that she most likely suffered. Now, they said there's no evidence of SA yet, but if everything else in his manifesto works out, and that's a very specific crime that law enforcement tries to hold back from the public. I'm not sure why, because I think in this day and age, being AR'd or SA'd, it doesn't have that stigma it once did. Once upon a time, if you were AR'd or SA, it was your fault. It was your fault as the female. Nowadays, it's not. And it still has, for whatever reason, because it's such a personal attack, such, a horrible, who's in here? Hold on. Brittany, who are you? I don't even know who you are. And if you got problems with me, you can reach out to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, but don't come in my chat saying that you heard. If you heard it, then you heard what I said. I don't know who the hell you are, lady. Do you want some attention? Did your mommy not give you her tit enough? Good gracious, don't come in here. Don't come in here.
Sneaky gremlins love to fight, but we're here to set it right. Jump and duck, let's take a shot, turning trolls into what they're not. Whack a troll, let 'em tumble, let 'em roll. Swing your spatula or a stick, whack 'em fast, whack 'em quick.
Oh, I know who that was. That was the POS, Layla Santinello's stepmom, not even stepmommy, her dad's girlfriend. That's who that was. Yes, baby, I was talking about you. Why don't you go back to the Dollar General and fill your buggy up and steal some more shit on the back of your missing, boyfriend's daughter? So yeah, Brittany, I was talking mad cash shit about you. And if you got a problem with me, you can sit here and reach out to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I think you are a piece of garbage. I think your husband or your boyfriend is a piece of garbage. And I think you need to quit trying to get profit and attention off the back of your boyfriend's daughter. There. Now you see me. Here, let me just get a little bit closer for you, boo-boo. Now you hear me. Brittany, George. How about that visit with Nova Grace? You couldn't go into his mommy's house, so he chose not to even see her? You don't even think you're going to step to Bullhorn Betty, little girl. I don't care about you. I support Jennifer Santinello. She's the one taking care of that baby. And Brittany, let me ask you, how much money have you sent over there to help her support that child? Probably a big fat none. Go do your drugs, dum-dum. Go do your drugs. Let's get back to a real case here, not some distraction from a piece of shit.
She did not deserve the details that you're going to learn about here.
Law enforcement honored Marsha Norman Wednesday by remembering her as a kind and loving grandmother with many hobbies and a zest for life.
Her love of music and art and traveling, and the list goes on and on. She was very clearly a vibrant and thriving person.
Which made the results of her autopsy even more troubling.
This investigation is one you cannot unsee.
Even for a coroner with 25 years of experience in the office, this.
And this is the worst case I've witnessed.
Her injuries were shocking.
There's sharp force injuries and there's blunt force trauma. For the blunt force trauma, there is no pattern to say what device.
Sharp forced injuries and blunt force trauma. That had to have been horrible for an 82-year-old woman to go through. That must have been absolutely horrible for an 82-year-old woman to go through. I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine. So we're learning a little more about this, and as we learn, the judge ordered no bail for the handyman accused of unaliving this lady. Now, my biggest problem is that if you're elderly or you have elderly family, and a situation is they have a handyman or somebody that works on their property, right? Somebody that works on their property, and they're standing at the foot of the bed in the middle of the night when they're not supposed to be in the client's bedroom, you should immediately call law enforcement. I can only imagine that she trusted him and probably thought his behaviors were harmless. That would be one of the biggest mistakes. If I ever found somebody in my house, I don't care if I'm 82 or 45. You're getting out of my house, and if you ever come back in it again, we're going to have big problems. It's not a situation where I would invite you back to do more work on my home. It's not a situation where I will sit down with you and eat dinner with you, allegedly. We don't know if that was the case. That's just what we heard. Is that just smoke and mirrors to have been able to be alone with her when her back was turned? He could attack. This guy is that nasty. This is an 82-year-old woman, and her life matters. Mattered. She went through her final days on this earth after everything she has given. It sounds like she was a sweet lady, probably the glue that held her family together. I can't imagine how her family feels about this. It sounds like they had a very loving family that cared about them. Within 3 days, they knew something was horribly wrong. We've got a lot of elderly people out here. If they disappeared, for a week or two, nobody would even know. Look at Gene Hackman. Look at Gene Hackman. All of that money, all of that wealth, right? Probably provided his spoiled ass children more than they could have ever wanted or expected out of life, and still couldn't even call their father at 95 years old to check on him regularly, where he expired in a house over a week with nobody calling. Them being in that house alone, dead for all that time. And he was a very wealthy, well-known person. And look at how his family treated him. In this situation, she was loved by her family. Her family loved checking in on her. Her family loved knowing she was doing well. Her family knew that she was aging and probably just, she wanted her independence of living alone. So they took extra precautions by making sure that they go by and check on her, call her regularly, making sure that she is safe and okay. And she has this handyman, and the family knew. The family should have, and now not victim shaming or victim blaming in the least. It's more of a hindsight is 2020 type of thing, right? I wish they would have encouraged her to change her locks, fire the handyman, and make a police report of his breaking and entering into her home. So that is that. Okay, so we'll change this out. Give me just a second. We got people that need their mommy and daddy's attention because they did not give them the attention that they so rightfully needed when they were younger. I feel really sorry for these people that just have to have attention. Oh my God, you're a grifter. You're a grifter. Oh, what a bag. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, so let's get back to this. And again, this was sent to me by one of our audience members to cover. I'm not trying to collect, like Fat Lips is, another bit of money because of all of her legal problems she has in her own town right now with her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend. And of course, she just can't seem to get auto insurance on her car. She likes to constantly violate the law, putting other people in danger. So these people that want to come over here, go back over to your fearless piece of shit leader and go piss in their Cheerios for a morning, or just become a human being. I don't know. I think it's probably a little hard for you guys to go from troll to human being. So I don't really have a lot of hope for you, except, I would say I would see you in hell, but I'm going to heaven while you guys are going to burn in eternity down below. So if I say that you're the crap on my shoe, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Give it just a second.
Tonight in Thurston County, horrific new details have come out about the murder of an 82-year-old woman in Tunheim. Marcia Norman disappeared earlier this month. Her body was found buried in cement underneath a shed. Now the man accused of killing her is being held without bail in Thurston County Jail. KOMO's Jeremy Harris live tonight in Olympia after speaking with the sheriff. Jeremy, you have the latest for us.
Preston, the coroner just said this is the worst case he has ever seen in his 2 decades here in Thurston County. 82-year-old Marsha Norman, we now know, investigators believe that she was kidnapped, tortured, killed, and then buried in cement. The man now accused of killing her is a convicted child molester who was under supervision in the community. Now, Marcia Norman vanished from her home in Tenino on April 1st. Investigators said her family told them that she had reported an alarming encounter with her handyman who had broken into her house earlier this year. Now, investigators say that handyman, Jeffrey Zizz, went to Norman's home for dinner and then kidnapped and killed her. The coroner says she had injuries to her head from a nail gun and that she was injured for hours before dying. Norman was a well-known figure in Tenino, and her family said she was still very independent at 82 years old.
So it's just very sad. And the last thing I'm going to go through this morning is, let me find it. I've got his history, and it looks like everything I can pull up on Truth Finder outside of that child SA, the child SA law. The only other thing he was convicted of was, hold on here. It was something, so he's got that one, which was what he's on, but he also had, take Selman during closed periods. So he was in the Kanaya River. I think I'm pronouncing that way. And drivers to exercise due care to avoid collisions. So it sounds like there was some type of collision, minor offense. Drivers to exercise due care to avoid collision. And he was, it looks like, fishing, taking salmon during closed periods. So he looks like he was in a car wreck, which disclosed that he potentially had salmon that was out of season and got ticketed for that as well. This is not too far from where I live. It's crazy people do this. It is. Panda Bear's mom, thank you, Betty. Trolls, narcissists can go away. Well, we know who they are. They're associated with either Chlamydia's channel, QB's channel, or BT's channel. That's it. There are the three main people that cause all of these problems and their piece of shit audience. The devils and the devil's workers, right? That's them. So we don't really have a lot to do with them. We don't really care about them. They come in here and try to nobody goes over to their chat and tries to disrupt them because nobody gives a shit about them. So I appreciate the attention. And I know that whenever you come over here and chat in my chat box to say nasty things, I'm top of your mind. That means I rent space in your head for free when you don't rent space in my head for free. So I went through his social media. He looked like a normal person at one point in time, but you start seeing all of these changes with him. And that's the weird thing, is that you see all of these changes in his face, whether he has hair on his face or not on his face. This is the picture that makes me believe he, started engaging into substance abuse. I'm not sure why I believe he engaged into substance abuse, but it just seemed like a spiral downhill. At some point from 2019 to where we are today in this particular case. But he has major facial changes. He has the wrinkly skin, the old looking skin, the sunken in cheeks. You can get that kind of look from drinking in excess as well. But there's just a piece of me that feels like there's substances here, as opposed, there may have been alcohol, but I feel like the substances are what made the real bad changes in this person's life. You can almost see it. Like you only have a couple of these, like at least 2 or 3 of these mug shots. But in those 2 or 3 mug shots, you see a visible changes in this guy. So something was going on in his life. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not giving him a free pass. I'm not saying that, this explains why he did this. This doesn't explain why he did this, yada, 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 yada. But it is relevant. In my opinion, it is relevant. Let me refresh this. And we're going to hear the press conference.
A blind spot that's never out of sight. How it should be.
Making us watch the whole darn thing. Sorry, Hyundai, unless you're paying me, I am not advertising.
My name is Derek Sanders. I'm the sheriff of Thurston County. I appreciate each of you coming today to hear a little bit more about Marsha's story.
Hopefully
I'd like to focus
it
on being her story and the life that she lived. And part of this discussion today will be the investigation where that took us over the last few weeks. So first off, I would like to thank a number of our partners. This investigation would not have been possible without them. We have JBLM, CID, Washington State Department of Corrections, King County Search and Rescue with some exemplary canines that they brought with them, Olympia Police Department, whose flock camera system actually helped solve this case.
Wow.
Idaho State Police,
Idaho.
Missoula Police, Missoula County Sheriff's Office, the Washington State Patrol, who dedicated dozens of hours to our cause, the Thurston County Coroner's Office behind me, and the Thurston County Prosecutor's Office behind me.
It's interesting. This crosses over state lines. They talked about Idaho, they talked about Montana, and they talked about the state of Washington. But the one person or the one organization that they omitted, which I would have assumed with this many states being involved, is the FBI. I didn't hear anything of him thanking FBI. So I guess FBI may not have played a critical role in this particular case, which is, again, interesting because it expands across 3 states.
I wanted to go over a brief timeline of what happened so that people can start to plug in some of the reasons that thing happened and how quickly this case moved. On April 1st, Marsha Norman had dinner with her handyman, Jeffrey Zizz, who was the last known person to see her at that time. There was a delay in reporting. However, on April 4th at 13:48 hours, patrol deputies were dispatched via Marsha's neighbor and her son to the residence under suspicious circumstances of a missing person. On April 4th at 18:57 hours, detectives were requested to respond just a few hours later after the circumstances at her residence were not adding up.
I did not know she was related to you, Kelly, but I did receive your emails, and that's why I am currently playing this story as I received a lot of stuff. I'm really sorry for you and your family's loss. I can't even imagine. We heard some of the graphic details this morning, and just very, very, very sorry, for everything that you and your family are going through and the suffering that your auntie had to endure at the hands of this monster. So God bless you and your family.
At 07:30 hours the next morning, detectives came back to the house and began investigating and securing some areas of interest. And also detectives interviewed Jeffrey the first time that basically detectives worked into that night, basically. So The first night they came out, they conducted some interviews. Jeffrey was cooperative at that time. And in that interview, you'll see the probable cause statement. He actually had a number of answers that made sense during the investigation, and the investigation was starting to stall out a little bit. However, Olympia's flock system, their ALPR camera system, was actually able to catch Mr. Zizz in a lie, and that's what propagated the investigation further and allowed the execution of numerous search warrants by our detectives.
So by finding out he was lying, and I want to bring this up because we have also another case where we know that law enforcement has been lied to by two parents, by a mom and a stepfather. And those are that was what promulgated the warrants and the subpoenas and everything in this particular case. So where are those subpoenas and warrants in that particular case as well? This one, we know the ending to this story. Thank God law enforcement was able to locate her. It makes you wonder where other missing people may be. Could this give us a little insight on the thought process of these despicable people, these horrible people? Thank you for you're welcome. God bless you. Like I said, I am so sorry. We definitely, hold our coffee club family very close. I had no idea you watched the show. I had no idea you were family with this lady, your aunt. And so hearing this just makes my heart break a little bit more that this is so close and personal to one of our audience members.
On April 5th, Jeffrey came to TCSO for a polygraph examination in which he failed extremely poorly. He is interviewed a second time, but at that point he requests an attorney. On April 5th in the afternoon, search warrants were applied for and executed. Jeffrey's truck was seized. His storage unit and trailer were also searched. On April 5th in the evening, Jeffrey's house and room were searched and items were seized, which included a 5-page letter which meticulously planned out a burglary and sexual assault of a woman who was referred to as his customer. On April 6th, detectives again were following up and checking suspicious areas and reviewing search warrant returns. On the morning of April 7th, the TCSO dive team searched the area of the victim's residence with a robot, a water sonar system, and a drone which was flown over the lake, and areas were checked, but nothing was found. At this time, in working with the Thurston County Prosecutor's Office, we sought a warrant for a probation violation from a previous child molestation case against Zizz, who we determined at this point in time, that same afternoon, he had fled the state with a roommate's truck.
Now, when you start hearing, oh, well, we're going to get him, we're going to try to pick him up on a probation violation, that's what I call low-hanging fruit, okay? And it is surprising to me, no offense, but you guys know me politically, and I know that our audience is kind of 50-50. Some, agree with me politically. Some of you don't, but we're all here for victims, not politics. But at the end of the day, let me just read.
Determined at this point in time, that same afternoon, he had fled the state with a roommate's truck.
Okay, so it's amazing to me that Washington State is, utilizing this low-hanging fruit as opposed to a very conservative state like Tennessee. This is where I start having problems because in all fairness, Washington is more of a liberal state, at least for somebody like me. We believe that Washington State is more of a blue state, more of liberal leaning ideology. And for them to be utilizing low-hanging fruit in getting a bad guy off the street as opposed to a very much more conservative law and order state, allegedly like Tennessee, it causes problems. And I'm glad to hear this coming out of Washington State. If they are going to use low-hanging fruit strategy, this is definitely the case that it should be used on. This woman was brutalized and this guy fled. I would be looking for any type of probation violation as well to bring him back to the state as quickly as possible.
We later learned that that truck struck an elk near the Idaho-Montana border. And at that point, we began mobilizing and asking for assistance from Idaho State Police and the Missoula law enforcement. On April 7th in the afternoon, special cadaver dogs from King County arrived and searched the shed property that detectives learned Jeffrey had built the day after Marsha's disappearance.
That's red flag. Red flag. It makes you wonder, you know, what was I mean, he obviously thought this through. No? I mean, he had a dossier, so to speak. He was identifying everything he wanted to do to this client. And he even went a step further and built this shed the day after she disappeared, the day after she allegedly had, yes, premeditation. That's where I was getting at, Jen. That's exactly where I was getting at. This is first-degree murder. This is the classic textbook first-degree murder. They found a dossier, so to speak, of what he's going to do. He was talking about a female client. She was a female client. He was talking about, you know, bounding her and hurting her in very personal ways. And then all of a sudden, a shed is erected. This guy makes me wonder, did he also rob her? Is there some type of financial gain from this guy, or was it just a sexually deviant, motivated type of crime? I have to think all of the above. We looked at her house. Her house was gorgeous. Her house was gorgeous. And so I have to think that this lowly handyman must have liked a lot of the stuff she had. So it makes me further, and I know we have Kelly in the chat. I don't know if you guys, she says 9 counts. I don't know if you guys have checked to confirm whether or not there were any items missing. It might be as simple as a ring. Something paid for that shed. That's how I'm looking at it. Sheds aren't cheap. I have a blown away shed that I've been waiting for. You know, we're going to be in the new hurricane season before I can even put a new shed up. I can't afford it. Sheds are $1,000 or more, right? Even the built, you know, the ones I got to go out there and literally put together myself, which is what I'm going to end up having to do. And you know how I feel about doing manual labor out in the Florida heat, right? But that's what I'm going to end up having to do. I've already got my designs planned, you know, what I'm going to do back there. It's going to be quite interesting, but where did he get the money for the shed? It didn't, you know, handyman. I mean, we made, Vince made, but we catered more toward drywall repair than anything. And drywall repair was, I mean, that's just gravy because nobody can do drywall. Nobody can do seamless drywall from, you know, with a hole in the wall. So it's a craft that you either have or you don't have. And if you have it, many people don't have it. So when you go into these gorgeous houses that they've ran furniture in, they want it fixed up. I had one where they had an elderly parent that fell into the wall and destroyed it. So handyman can make money because I know for our business, we were making 10 grand a month off the repairs that we were doing for other people. But again, you know, we didn't have the types of issues that this man appears to have had. That shed was different customer, one that Marcia got him the job in Olympia. But they said the shed was on his property. So did he steal it from somebody else? Or was it another customer? I don't know. Learning about candles and melts. It's nice to see you. I've always wanted to learn about, I want to do like candles or soap. I've been watching a lot of videos. You know, really, because I really want to make a coffee candle or a coffee soap. That's because we're the coffee club. So I've been trying to find little neat things to make, but thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Karen says he's in even more trouble with God because of being was he a pastor at one point? Oh my goodness. Is that a true statement? I missed that. That might have been back in these days whenever he was like this, because I mean, he looks a lot different. Look at that. He looks a lot different than he did once upon a time. Yeah, I could see him being a pastor or a preacher at this time. No, it was not his property. Oh, interesting. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? I just thought about that. So he unalived her and took her over to another client's and desecrated their property? That is beyond evil. That is beyond evil. Truth in Time says scroll up and read her comment. Which one? Aw, thank you. I'm not sure. Is that the message you wanted me to see, or is there another one up here? Melody says some are just guilty that have to just tell it. Tell about it. Lots of sick people. There's a lot of sick people. We see it on a daily basis. No, it was not his property, she says. Wow. Sick. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm covering this case that is so personal. Like I said, so personal to you and your family. It's just, I can't imagine. God bless you guys.
The dog showed some interest, but did not give a clear yes or no at that time. Later that evening, we learned that Jeffrey was taken into custody with the assistance of Missoula law enforcement. On April 8th, that morning, cadaver dogs searched the victim's property and surrounding areas. Dogs indicated on human remains at the victim's house, and the WSP CSRT unit processed the suspect's truck for evidence. JBLM CID responded with a...
So they had the cadaver dogs out there. We also heard cadaver dogs. Come here. Come on. Come. We got a little bit of love in our lives. Somebody wanted to come up and she was pawing at my little feet, or my legs. She said, I wanted to come up and say hi to everybody, Mommy. I haven't said hi to everybody. Say hi. Hi, everybody. Aw, she did a baby. She said she's still so tiny. Oh my gosh, in 3 more days, it's going to be her birthday, her 1-year birthday. You're getting to be such a big girl. 3 more days. We got a birthday party to plan. She was alive when they got to the shed. Then he tortured her at the shed. Oops, careful. Tortured her at the shed. He then tortured her at the shed, beat her for hours before. Oh, good gracious. But what in the world would inspire somebody to be so brutal? I mean, I can look at her photo. I judge people. I judge people. I judge people every day. And I look at her photo and she seems so, you can see in her eyes, she's just a very kind, I mean, she looks like 82 years old living on her own. I'm pretty sure she can handle her business in the sense she's probably vocal. If she doesn't like something, she'll tell somebody she doesn't like it, but it seems all, that she is very kind. Maybe the whole dinner, if the dinner really happened, I'm with all this stuff going on, I'm very skeptical of whether they actually had dinner or not. But it makes me wonder, was that dinner to tell him that she didn't want, because some nice people, they don't want to just be rude and say, don't come back here again. Sometimes they want to be kind, and like sit them down and just say, I really appreciate all the work that you've done, on the house and stuff, but we're going to have to change direction, right? Could that have been? I don't know. Wounds of blunt trauma and wounds from nail gun. We don't have forensics back on the essay. I figured as much, but based upon his dossier, I find that highly probable as an event. And again, a horrible way for somebody to go out. Okay. This lady was a grandma. She has a niece in our chat right now. that loves her and that she loved them. And for this to be her final hours,
ground penetrating radar device to check ground density and found an anomaly under the shed that Jeffrey had recently built. On April 8th, around noon, cadaver dogs searched the suspect's truck, and at that point in time, they indicated on human remains. On April 8th in the afternoon, cadaver dogs searched the shed property a second time, at which point 2 out of the 3 cadaver dogs indicated that human remains were likely present. On April 9th, with the help of numerous entities, the Thurston County Sheriff's Office lifted up the shed with power equipment, and TCSO detectives began digging, and at that point in time, we located human remains about 18 inches underground in a shallow grave with concrete poured over the top. On April 10th, an autopsy of those human remains was conducted by the Thurston County Coroner's Office. And the next day, those were confirmed to be the remains of Marsha Norman.
And I can't imagine what your family's going through hearing that. But yeah, from what I'm gathering is your family knew that this was not her normal behavior and knew immediately that something was terribly, terribly wrong. And I'm glad that they acted so quickly.
On April 13th, Thurston County Sheriff's Office extradited Zizz back to Thurston County Jail, where he remained on a no bail hold for his probationary sentence violation.
Send him a text. Don't let him come back.
On April 20th, Zizz was booked for murder first degree, kidnapping first degree, and unlawful disposal of human remains. One of the interesting things about cases like this is that our Thurston County detectives oftentimes spend a lot of time getting to know the family. Spoke with the family a little bit as well. And the one thing that came up numerous times was how great of a person Marsha was, how she was the life of the room everywhere she went, and how she was the glue for her family. And so I wanted that to be one of the strongest statements that we have here today, is the focus on the victim, and that she did not deserve the details that you're going to learn about here in a short moment. I would also like to just thank each of our patrol deputies and detectives. You know, these are cases where any point in time, even the smallest slip up can result in not finding evidence, not taking things seriously, brushing things off, and at no point in time did any of that occur. They all acted with significant.
And that it did occur multiple times in the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case by Sumner County Sheriff. They blew a lot of stuff off, even when people called in tips, and even when people called in what they believed would have been critical evidence in the case that should have been processed.
Professionalism and dedication to the job. And I think this is a good example of how we can't bring Marsha back, but we can seek out justice for her family.
Amen.
At this point in time, I'm going to hand it over to Coroner Warnock, and then move on to Prosecutor John Tunheim before taking questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Warnock, and I'm the coroner here in Thurston County. I'm going to give you the cause of death statement. Before I do, I want to thank the Norman family and their friends for their help and cooperation for all of us involved in locating Marsha, and just say our thoughts are with you all. I take no pleasure in delivering the following message because it's going to sting. The immediate cause of death for Marsha is combined blunt force and penetrating sharp force injuries of the head. Other significant conditions.
That is beyond. They said sharp force injuries as well as blunt force trauma of the head. This guy was an animal. He's a monster. A monster. Who can do that? I want you guys to think in your humanity, in each and every one of you, the kind of person it takes to injure an 80-something-year-old lady, but let alone hurt her with a nail gun and God knows what else. God knows what else. This is awful.
Contributing to Miss Norman's death were multiple blunt force injuries to her torso and extremities. The autopsy examination revealed the injuries were the result of being assaulted by another person and that the injuries were inflicted while Miss Norman was alive.
She went through brutality, torture, and pain.
This was a very complex investigation, which is still ongoing. In our line of work, we see and witness many things, and this investigation is one you cannot unsee. I have been I've been with the coroner's office for nearly 25 years, with 19 years as the coroner, and this is the worst case I've witnessed.
One of the things that I can honestly say is people don't sometimes forget about the people that have to process these scenes, the first responders, the investigators, the crime scene unit, the coroner, the people in the coroner's office that have to process these bodies, put them in a cooler. They're also victims of these crimes. We don't consider them victims of these crimes. And they do this out of a labor of love to help, provide answers. But they're the ones that have to see, while we're protected, while our eyes are protected, and they use language like they've been using in this case to describe, it does not even come close to the impact of what these people have to do, what their job is. And it's kind of bittersweet. I love seeing people that are angry when they come across cases like this, because it means that they are not so compartmentalized in these, that they fight harder. Okay, when you see emotion coming from the coroner's office, they're going to get to the bottom of it. When you see emotion coming from law enforcement, they're going to get to the bottom of it. You want those raw emotions in your investigators and the people that are working on the case, because they're going to work that much harder to find the answers that you seek. We don't want people that can say this without having emotion. We don't want people up here that deal with this all the time, that this is just another case. This is really problematic to these people, and that is a good thing for this family, because they are going to fight for answers, because this is emotional to them. They've now taken personal ownership and make themselves a stakeholder in solving this case, and that's what you want from the team that is investigating. We don't see as much of that. Some places are just too far gone. The people are too far gone. They've dealt with this so much that this is just another case for them. This is not another case for these folks here. I can see it in their face, I can see it in their body language, and I can hear it in the statements that they make.
John?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Tunheim. I'm the prosecuting attorney here in Thurston County. I'm going to join my two colleagues in sending our deepest condolences to the family. One of my deputy prosecutors and victim advocate and I had a chance to sit down with the family today and talk to them prior to the court appearance that you were there present earlier, and heard very much the same things that you've already heard about Marcia, including what a tremendous family person she was, how she loved her family, how her family loves her, her love of music and art and traveling, and the list goes on and on. She was very clearly a vibrant and thriving person. And I think we all, the entire community, is mourning her loss as we speak. As you've heard, today was Mr. Zizz's first court appearance, a preliminary appearance. We started consulting in this case back when the sheriff's office identified Mr. Zizz as a person of interest, as you've heard. When we learned that he potentially had fled the state, we applied for and obtained a warrant for his arrest.
Why in the world? Now that I know I'm bouncing between two cases, but we always listen to cases and see how law enforcement and prosecuting people deal with stuff. And we also apply it to other cases that we're involved with, like the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case. When his parents decided to flee, why didn't they request warrants for their arrest? Why? It is a telltale sign. Now, remember, in the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case, within 24 hours, we had a state attorney on scene. I overlooked that. When it happened because I'm always out on the scenes. I always see the prosecuting attorney. I always see these people out there. But, the problem is usually I'm out on homicide scenes, not missing person scenes. So it tells me that in Sumner County, they were eyeballing 2 to 3 people. They were eyeballing most likely the mom, the stepfather, and the father on those first days. 2 people fled the state. 2 people, the mom and the stepfather. They fled the state. That was the crux of them getting the arrest warrant for Jeffrey Zizz. So why are we still here in the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case? If this doesn't show you the case is being all types of muddled up for no reason by Sumner County Sheriff, then I don't know what will. These people here seem to be on it. It seems so funny when law enforcement, as well as the prosecution, as well as the state, wants to go after somebody. It seems pretty easy to do. So we have to ask ourselves, it is so easy to get these things by certain behaviors of these persons of interest. Why are we still here in the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case? I'm very thankful Marcia's case is solved, and it's going to be going through process, and her family as well as her, even though it's not going to bring her back, they're going to get justice. They're going to get swift justice. But there are so many cases in other states that aren't getting this kind of attention and aren't being treated this way, and they should have been treated as vigorously as this case here.
To try to have him arrested on violation of his prior sentence, which he was serving as a treatment sentence from a prior offense. So that warrant was immediately issued and provided the basis for the Missoula authorities to make the arrest that they did at the time. Since then, we've continued to consult with the sheriff's detectives and ultimately determined that we were ready to proceed forward with charges of murder in the first degree, kidnapping in the first degree, and unlawful disposal of human remains, which is why we sought today probable cause for those offenses. We now have until the close of business on Wednesday to formally file those charges, and I expect that to happen some.
And that sounds like today, potentially. Maybe this was from last week, but let me just look. I can't look at the date of this just yet.
Time within the next 2 days. Following that, there will be an arraignment scheduled on May the 6th at 9 in the morning. At that arraignment, the judge will formally advise Mr. Zizz of the charges that have been brought against him. He will enter an initial plea to those charges, and assuming that that plea is not guilty, then the court will proceed forward with setting additional hearings, including an omnibus hearing, a trial confirmation hearing, and a trial. And that initial trial setting will be within 60 days of the date of arraignment. So probably sometime in early July would be my prediction.
I don't believe with as much, unfortunately, with as much well-known as this case is becoming, and the more it becomes a public interest case, which it is a public interest case, but the more notable it becomes, the more that trial date's going to drag out. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. When people start being noticed, when it starts getting a lot of news, they have to step up their game. They can't use the lowly prosecutor or public defender. They have to use their top gun public defender, typically in high profile cases. This case is becoming one that will be a high profile case just by the plot line itself, the storyline itself. A handyman, somebody that you're calling to help you with repairs around your house, plans your unaliving and an SA. Now, granted, they don't have the forensics back to prove SA, but I based upon his dossier, I would have to imagine that that's going to be part of this. We have a S deviant that has been known to the courts to be an S deviant for some time. He AR'd a child. It sounds like there was another child, a second child, that he is now being picked up on. That's what they said as a violation of his probation on another incident related to a child. That's what I just heard. So we've got an S deviant here that, again, law enforcement did their job, but the courts didn't do their job. Okay? We can't constantly be blaming law enforcement for these types of situations. They bring the charges. They do the investigation. And when you have the courts doing plea deals and stuff to avoid trials on these very important issues when it comes to our children and women of this country, they are putting us all in harm's way. These types of deviants don't change. They only get more obsessed with whatever their mind's telling them to do to somebody. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. And that's what history tells us. So when we're dealing with these S types of crimes, especially to vulnerable children, that should be a telltale sign the person probably needs to be locked away for a very, very, very long time. What kind of damage did he do to these children? The psychological damage of something like this in our children are so profound. You're talking about ruining them. They'll never have a decent relationship. They're most likely going to engage in substance abuse and alcohol abuse because they don't know how to deal with what they've dealt with. Your body is still under stress, whether you know it or not. You block it, but it doesn't mean that your mind doesn't know. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have negative effects on your body, mind, and soul. These types of deviants that hurt children take the soul of that child. And it takes everything to put that soul back in the child for the children that want to work on it. Some of them just want to shovel it under the rug and act like they can handle it until they can't. He didn't get away with the two. Maybe this was a step up for him. If he just unalived his victim, he wouldn't have to worry about them tattling on him. That's typically how they think. It's a sick progression.
That trial date, I know, as you all know, is subject to change as the investigation continues and the lawyers begin preparing the case for trial. We will continue to work with the sheriff's office. This is still a continuing investigation. There is evidence that has been collected that will be going to the crime lab for analysis. And so as that develops, we'll be continuing to analyze that evidence and review the charges. The charges that we anticipate filing in the next two days are not necessarily the final charges. They are the first set of charges.
So they expect a lot more, just like Kelly had stated.
And we'll continue to evaluate the case to determine if different or additional charges are appropriate.
All right, guys, we are going to stop there for this story today. I want to thank you for coming over and learning about this new case, this sad case, this case of a grandmother trusting the wrong repair guy for her home, and what a lethal consequence that proves to have been. It is very, very, very important, and I'm going to say this to everybody, especially my single females, okay? Especially my single moms. You don't let anybody in your home when you're alone. Nobody. I don't care if you know them for years. We don't know who our neighbors are anymore. When you have a new handyman, do yourself a favor. Do a background check on the person. It could save your life. We hear so many times, look at Stephen Stearns, targeted a mom for a daughter. The mom so blindly, just willingly not realize what was going on. And many people believe she did realize what was going on. I have to believe that after everything's come out about the Madeline Soto case, I believe her mother was culpable. I think her mother put her in danger regularly. I think her mother did not care. I think it's another Francis Rosenbaum situation. If you really want to, want my opinion and my take on the whole Madeline Soto case, right? I truly believe it was a Katie's mom type of situation. What Katie went through at the hands of her mother, I feel like Maddie also did. We have to be, we're going to always be here. There's going to always be single women out there. There's always going to be single moms out there. It is just how life goes. But what we don't have to do is also be victims of predators. One little search. I think I pay $16.95 a month. I've paid $16.95 a month for my background program for the last 3.5, maybe 4 years. Even though I don't use it a lot, I have it. And for $16 a month, if you're a single mom or a single person, even elderly men that live alone, you guys have to be cognizant and careful as well. It is a dog-eat-dog world out there. We're not living in the America that we were living in 20 years ago. We've got a lot of angry people that are on a lot of substances that were that came across our borders and poisoned our people. The problem is it poisoned their mind too. These drugs have literally changed what is going on up here. You can literally have somebody you knew from school that was like the funniest person, the kindest person, willing to help somebody, and you let drugs into their life and they are an animal. An absolute animal. And this is happening all over our country. Parents aren't even taking care of their kids anymore. It's the grandparents that have most of the kids. It's the parents that are out there in the streets doing all this nonsense, and nobody can help them because they're not willing to help themselves. I truly believe that there was something going on with this handyman. I believe something happened to him, and I have a funny feeling when push comes to shove, we're going to find out it's substances. These horrible, horrible substances. They change people. They rot the brain. They make the person into something we don't recognize anymore. Was this man always this way? No, but there was a change in him, and it happened when he got that first charge of touching a child. So this is definitely a case that has a lot of the twists and turns in it that we here on the Bullhorn Betty channel pay attention to. This is something that we will be commentating on. I'm glad that there is justice for Marcia. It's a day late and $1 short, but at least she gets justice. We've got a litany of victims in our wake that get no justice, including Summer Wells, Layla Santinello, and Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Pray for everybody today. Do an act of kindness to a perfect stranger. Buy somebody a cup of coffee in the car behind you. Have an opportunity to honor 3 people that we've talked about, 4 people that we talked about in this show today. We talked about Layla Santinello. We had her piece of crap, Brittany. They call her a stepmom, but she's not a stepmom. She's never been married to George. But we had Layla Santinello. We had this case here of Marsha Norman, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, and Madeline Soto. Those were all covered in today's segment. Out of all those cases, only 2 get justice. And that's Madeline Soto and now Marsha Norman. Ellie did it sounds like they did. It sounds like they did. Trust me, I'm very, very, very critical of law enforcement. I'm one of the first people, even if they solved the case, if there was mistakes had, I put those on a spotlight, right? Because it could affect the case. But everything I've seen that law enforcement has done here have all the check boxes in the right areas. So kudos to them. And that really did help your aunt get justice. And I will tell you that it is a night and day difference when you have a good working law enforcement, good working detectives, good working coroner, and good working prosecution's office, state prosecutor. When you have all those coming in and they're working diligently and very hard, it is amazing what they can do. That's how I know when law enforcement's really trying and when they're not. So, all right, guys, don't forget to rock it out with your coffee beans out. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you're following this show and you know anything about the case that we dived into today, which is about Jeffrey Zizz, even if you know him from years ago, you could be a very important role in this case because they need to have behavior. So if you know either the victim or the perpetrator in this case, and you have not spoken to law enforcement about the information that you know, now is a great time to reach out to law enforcement. Now is a great time for you to get plugged in and tell them everything that you know. So that's kind of where we are in this case. Go have a great day. Happy hump day, everyone. If you have any information that could be pertinent to this case, please send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, whether it's related to Jeffrey Zizz or Marsha Norman. And Delilah's up here because the air conditioning is going and she is absolutely freezing. So she just wants to be in my arms to keep her warm. But she also wants to say, hi, guys. I love you. Have a great Wednesday. Bye. I'm going to go warm up now. Mommy's going to turn my air conditioning off so I'm not in her arms shaking because I'm so cold. I'm so cold. There she is. My little baby. She's turning 1 in 3 days. She's turning a whole year old. She's such a sweetie. And you know what? I love her just as much today, actually more than I did the day I brought her home. She is my BFF. Her and I literally do everything together. Shopping, check. Road trip, check. Complaining to one another, check. Her throwing her food at me, check. Me throwing my food at her, check. The only thing she's never had is a punishment. I've never punished her. She has never done anything wrong. I mean, she's been a puppy, but she never chewed my cord. She never chewed my shoes. The worst situation I've had with her is her taking a paper towel and tearing it up on the carpet in the living room. Like, she's been an absolute blessing in my life. I'm very, very fortunate and thankful to have Delilah. And, you know, each and every day I keep looking back on when my best friend told me she was getting me this dog. And I told her, I don't think I can handle a dog. My life is so up and down. And she's like, I didn't ask you. I'm telling you, you're getting a dog. Prepare your house. She will be there on XYZ date. Okay, I guess we're getting a puppy. And what a delight Delilah has been. And I've never changed her name since she came to my house. She is a Delilah. She's a beautiful Delilah. And she is the biggest supporter of the Bullhorn Betty channel. She gives me more kisses and love than any of you. Just thought I'd let you know that. I wake up with kisses. I go to bed with kisses. I go to bed with a little snuggly bump. So, you know, I'm very thankful. And I just keep thinking, you know, all of our victims, you know, I talk about, you know, the love I have for my puppy. And, you know, if something happened to my family, I would absolutely be devastated. And covering these cases or having somebody in our chat that's family members to the cases that we're covering, it gets really hard because you as a human being know that they're suffering, even though you may not know how they're suffering or to the degree that they're suffering. You know that they're suffering and they're hurting. And it's a suffering and a pain that no matter what you do or what you say will never take that hurt away. But what we can do is give them hope. What we can do is give them peace of mind that justice is coming. And what we can tell them is that your case is the one that's getting justice and not just another file in a filing cabinet, right? And we deal with that all the time. Not at the law enforcement's fault. You know, there's just a lot of things out there that they just can't quite make a case on. But those people go without justice for many, many, many years. And this is one where at least we can't bring Marsha back, but at least she's going to get justice, and she has the justice team standing behind her. I can look at all three of those guys that were up there at that press conference, and the only thing I can say to Jeffrey Zizz is, you're toast, buddy. You're toast. I think with this one being so premeditated on the backs of children also being essayed by this man, I see, and his I think Washington State is another non-death penalty state. Is Washington State death penalty? Washington State abolished the death penalty. In 2018, the Supreme Court declared the existing death penalty statute is unconstitutional. So unfortunately, the state of Washington is going to be paying to keep this animal alive after he did such atrocities to the human race and the humankind. If I was in Washington State, y'all, I really would be. That death penalty is a deterrent. People go into your state to commit crimes. Look at Brian Koberger. They go to your state to commit crimes because there is no death penalty. Death penalty is a deterrent. And I hope more states get back on board with you know what I think? Everybody keeps saying death penalty is inhumane. You know what I think is inhumane? I think what's inhumane is taking care of a person that will never be free ever again a day in that person's life, keeping them locked up with other animals, being AR'd, and God knows what else goes on in those state prisons that we hear about. The proliferation of drugs and substances that are brought into that facility that they try to act doesn't happen. That is no life for people. For them to die in a cold, hard, concrete cell, that to me is inhumane. Never mind the cost it's costing the taxpayers to keep these people alive, feed 3 hots and a cot, knowing that we're going to be taking care of them for 30, 40, 50, 60 years at $100,000 per head a year. To me, that is inhumane, not only to the taxpayers, but to the people that are convicted of these heinous and horrible crimes. Just my thought. That's my 2 cents. Don't use it all in one place. All right. And lastly, I just want to go back and re-thank all the people that supported this channel today. Melanie, your support and love is absolutely overwhelming, and we appreciate everything that you do for this channel, along with Serenity. Rose Moat, thank you for being part of this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straight jacket and your padded room. Welcome aboard. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Panda Bear's mom. We also received a new member, Learning Candles and Melts. It's nice to see you. Send me some of, that's the one thing that we don't have. Like Sonia, she makes shirts. We also have Clarissa that makes some shirts. I haven't seen Clarissa here very much. I know she watches from the bushes, but one thing we don't have is somebody that does candles and melt. Granny's Crime Busters sent me some soap, green ribbon soap, which was really nice and thoughtful that she did. But as far as candles and melt, send me some samples, not just by email, not personally. I don't want to be part of your overhead, but I'd like to see some of your work in picture form so I can show that out and share that out to people to see if they would like to purchase anything from you. We definitely appreciate anybody and everybody that can help. I know one thing that Sonia does is she always puts a missing person flyer in every package that she sends out. So always hopeful and helpful and try to help any small business out there that supports the Bullhorn Betty channel. So again, thank you all for being here. God bless each and every one of you. And we'll see you sometime later today or in the morning. I haven't I've got to get my legal paperwork finally filed today. I have a final review of the information right after the show. And if that's done, if I can get that done before like 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern time, then we'll come live for another. It may just be a very casual conversation. It may not be any particular topic. We just may come and just chit chat and just kind of hang out for a little bit, which I haven't done in a while with my audience, where we just kind of let the conversation go wherever it's going to go. So if that does happen, that will be later this afternoon. And I hope you guys have a great hump day. God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you soon.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.